Hey, how's it going? It's Grant
and Shelby K
with the Garden of Eater, and tonight we're going to talk about shrimp, all of your shrimp questions, anything along the topic, as well as this past weekend. We had quite the adventure running through the Florida Everglades. I was asked to speak at the Gold Coast Aquarium Society down in Coral Springs, Davie, Florida. And we decided to take advantage of that and spend an extra 3 days down there. And there was 3 nights where we were up until 4:30 in the morning, going out collecting, exploring, looking at gators, crocodiles, pythons, all sorts of little critters and stuff like that. So, you want to talk to chat tonight, or are you just gonna type the chat?
It's easier just to type.
Okay.
We're very tired, so bear with us on some of the pauses and not being able to think for it. We're up quite late every night, about 3 to 4 a.m. every night, and then we're getting up at like 9 o'clock in the morning and 10, so we get like 4 to 5 hours of sleep maybe every night.
Last night I was like, nah, let's make sure we get some good night's sleep, and let's get to bed early. Let's go to just one more good spot and then turn back around and head home, and maybe, just maybe, check out one more of the bridges on the way back home to see if any of the bass or anything like that had come back out. And at the last good spot that we found, there was a little school of Oscars, tiger Oscars. And me and Mark, we ended up bending the nets. Shelby was on lights, and together we caught about 100 of the little guys. They're an invasive species, so you want to get them out of the Everglades anyways. And that took us an extra 30, 45 minutes longer than what we had thought. And then we had stopped at one last place to try and see if there was any bass or peacocks or anything cool or interesting to see at all. And sure enough, all the rocks were basically riddled with peacock bass. And we got to work, and I think I caught 4 of them there, but 2 of them were real small. Shelby caught 2 of them or 3?
What, peacock bass?
Yeah.
2.
2 of them.
We caught one together, tag team one, next to a gator. And then the last one I caught by myself.
And Mark is in the chat tonight. Thank you so much, man, for your hospitality and showing us around the Florida Everglades. It was a blast. We saw so many things that were on our bucket list. We checked off so many different little things that I never even thought were going to be on the bucket list, but they definitely should have been. Just didn't know it until we got there and saw and checked everything out. But yeah, we got to this last spot last night. I think we ended up spending like an extra hour and a half. So it ended up being a extra long night where we were going to call it early that night. And I think we planned it last minute. After dinner, we had some really good Indian food. We were ready to go, and it was like, we might as well just go collecting again tonight, because it was a 4.5 hour drive for us to get down to our hotel where we're at, and then another hour and a half drive into the Everglades. So it was quite some driving, but it was all worth it. And since we were already down there, we cut a lot of the driving down every night. So Mark, though, he went above and beyond. The very first night we went out, we caught Macchiobrachium, the super large, not super large. There's larger prawns, but they're more like the Peruvian, the Amazonian shrimp out there. How's it going? collaboration of curiosities. Appreciate the $2. It's Australian money. Is that what the A stands for?
I don't know. $2 super chat.
Either way,
Good day.
we appreciate
Good day. Have a great stream. Yeah, I would assume maybe that it's like nighttime over there. I don't know. Time difference. I'm terrible.
Yeah, it's
Can't even
nighttime,
think
and if it wasn't a Monday night live stream, we probably would have been asleep 30 minutes ago. I'm not gonna lie, but so the first night we caught Macchia brachium. The shrimp, the largest one we caught was probably 4.5 inches long, tail to the nose, and then the pinchers were probably that long all together. So the entire shrimp, I would say, tail to the end of the pinchers, was about 8.5, maybe 9 inches altogether. And then we ended up getting a handful of neurite snails. I would say about 400 olive neurites in a bucket. And they were so easy to collect and catch. In that same spot, we were catching and dip netting peacock bass, jewel cichlids, Mayan cichlids. There was something else. I said peacock bass. Did I say peacock bass?
I think you've mentioned it several times.
Oh, and then we were also on the shore. We were catching either fiddler crabs or maybe some type of vampire crab because there was a lot of purple coloration to them, and they didn't have the kind of characteristics that our fiddler crabs have where we live. But again, we're in a total different ecosystem compared to the Everglades, where we get it freezes quite often, so there's no cool invasive species or anything like that. But down there, it's very rare if they get a freeze, and most of the time the water may not, drop or get too cold in some pockets. So a lot of the fish are able to breed, live, and thrive, and really get going out there. Hold on,
Yeah,
you man chat, and I'll go.
So sorry. It's the dogs are getting worked up because someone is shooting fireworks. It's only 2 weeks past, but okay. Someone did mention earlier about the quality because they're watching it on the TV. It's just the quality of the stream, actually. Our internet isn't doing so well. It's really stormy here. I did just take our phones off, so the clarity should go up a little bit, and we are working on having better streaming. Our camera on the laptop does the 1080p, but StreamYard does not allow you to use 1080p unless you upgrade to professional. So we're looking into getting that. A big shout out to my dad. We did have our AC decided to start leaking while we were gone because it is hot as can be in Florida, and he took care of that. Fixed our doggy door. Our dog runs through it at full speed and has destroyed it. So he fixed it. I mean, it's an extra large doggy door, not one you can just easily replace. He fixed that with a cool mud flap from a big trailer. And then he also did a really cool thing in Jaden's room. Once we get it painted and put together all the way, we'll be posting about that. So that's a big surprise. But that is all done.
It's not really a surprise.
Job.
I think we've talked about it. I'm pretty sure we've talked about it.
Maybe, but we'll leave it for the end. But a big shout out to my dad for manning down the house while we were gone and helping us out quite a bit and getting us ahead of where we needed to be.
And then back to our first spot. One half of the canal was freshwater. The other half was brackish. And we took, actually, this was the second spot. I forgot to talk about the first spot. The first spot had a tragic accident, so we'll go back to that one here in a second. But the second spot was the first spot where we went night collecting. At night, Doc, Mark would absolutely have a field day taking you out at the to the Everglades. However, what I was just talking about is we would definitely want to go at nighttime. The collecting is just incredible. I couldn't believe the amount of wildlife that we saw, the amount of things that we collected. I kind of want to make a trip like once a month and not even sleep. Just go during the day and then just collect all night. Maybe sleep 2-3 hours in a tent right next to the crocodiles or something like that on the riverbank. That would be nice, right? But other than that, I could just do a whole 24-hour shift down there and drive home and call it a day and have a blast. So I back to the first spot at the nighttime collecting spot. Half of it was fresh, the other half was brackish. We went down, we're catching peacocks, Mayans, going through getting all the olive neurites, and the fiddler crabs were fun to catch. But I was really trying to catch the largest Maciobrachium shrimp. And then, well, Shelby, because of what happened with the incident in Jaden, they couldn't venture too far away from the truck. So Shelby stayed and worked the saltwater, brackish water side and caught a pipefish. And then I jumped over there and was messing around, and I caught a goby. She caught a bunch of the Maciobrachium. Who caught the one? I think Mark caught the real long one with
You
the
caught the
pinchers.
big ones. I couldn't catch them. I only got film, the actual cover photo for the live stream right now is underwater film of the shrimp in its environment, and it was pretty cool. I did a whole. Those shrimp are like near impossible. I don't know if you've seen my little tiny nano tanks that I've done on my TikToks, but let's just say they weren't staying in that tank. I mean, they just one kick and they're out and they're back into the stream. So after like I even did one this big, I was like, all right, this one will stay. Plopped it in. Nope, kicked right back out. I was like, I'm done. So if you ever do these shrimp, you need a lid because they will kick themselves right out.
And then from there, we ventured off deeper into the Everglades, since that was near the coast where we had ice cream. Of course, everywhere we go, we have to have ice cream.
Welcome in Petland Creek Aquatics. Use the member for 7 months chat. Said Shelby and Grant. Good evening.
Saw some of the fish that you bred today.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about that later too. So back to the first night of collecting. We saw everything from owls to a rainbow rat or a rainbow gardener snake. Mark, I don't know if you're still there, but you can let them know which one. So the first night did not go empty-handed with finding snakes. There was a fair amount of gators. We did end up seeing more gators on the way to our hotel than we ended up seeing in the entire Everglades collecting the first night. So they're not as like crazy, wildly, densely populated as like you would think the Everglades is. We were quite comfortable walking around with the kids because the water is immaculate in some of the places. Of course, there was some black water streams and stagnant ponds and stuff like that. But for the most part, the culverts and stuff like that where we were collecting were just like crystal clear running water. You could see just about everything as far as the light could shine. Of course, you know, some of the deeper water you couldn't see all the way down to the bottom. Possible gators or something that lurking down there. But during the little shallow swampy areas and stuff like that, we felt quite comfortable running around with the dip net. In fact, Mark has like this 24-foot long dip net that I thought it would be funny to show off how actual long it is and grab it and run down the road with it, and almost ran right into a gator on the side of the road. So Shelby thought she got film of it, but she could see it better with her eyes than you can in the camera. You don't really see much, but that thing was a lot bigger than me and could have easily taken me down if he had decided to, but he saw how big the dip net was and got scared and ran away, you know? But we were catching everything from Mayan cichlids to largemouth bass and lots of gar. Mark ended up getting a gar at one spot. I got a gar at the next spot. Shelby ended up getting a gar at the very next spot. And how's it going? Nano, the aquarium guy, he was at our Gold Coast Aquarium Society talk. And thank you so much for the box of treats. He packed up a bunch of ice creams and little candies and stuff like that.
Sorry.
I have a problem. I've already talked about ice cream twice now on the stream. But yeah, I eat my body weight probably every other month in ice cream alone. So I had to stop drinking soda because the diabetes was creeping up on me way too quick with just how much candy and baked goods and ice cream that I eat. So you gotta kill one of the bad things off. So I chose soda, and we got real lucky with the group of people at the Gold Coast Aquarium. Jay, thank you so much for the treats. I did share some of the bonbons with the kids. The rest I did indulge myself, mainly because everybody else fell asleep by the time we were done collecting and all said and done. So it was great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And then I don't know if Garcia Aquatics is in here, but he was there as well. And then, of course, Craig, Chuck Davis, Vadim, a lot of the other locals in the club that are always great to see them. And heard some stories about some of the old timers from my club. Got a lot of great laughs out of it. It was a real good time. Before we dive back into the Everglades, we got to start off at the first collecting spot. So we go to this canal behind our hotel. Perfect little spot. Like you can tell there's other people that are there that fish there, and you could see the wildlife from on top of the bridge. It had everything from snakeheads to peacock bass to possible like a tarpon or a snook or something like, not a tarpon, maybe a snook, but yeah, it was a really good spot. Had a lot of fun where we were able to go back afterwards. But when we first showed up, got the kids situated. Shelby, I think, already grabbed her tank, found the perfect spot to get started
fishing
on her aquascape. No?
I was already fishing.
You were already fishing.
Yeah, I had my tank, but.
And so I go to get a bait to put on the hook so that way I can start trying to catch my first peacock bass. And Jaden yells out, "Help! I cut myself on the rock." And so I go over there, and there's a big gash going down his foot, a lot of blood. Had to move slowly down the boat ramp so we didn't slip in. It wasn't like a boat ramp exactly, but it had the same texture and slope on the bank, and it was all concrete and wet, so you know how that works. And by the time I got to him, I saw the wound, but I didn't know how deep it was, so I had to, separate the flesh just a little bit to gauge how deep it was, so we could figure out whether or not we're going to the hospital or just the CVS Walgreens to get some bandages. And I did it twice, and he goes, "Ow, Dad, that stops, or that hurts. Don't do that again." And I was like, "I'm sorry, buddy. I just got to figure out where we got to take you." And we ran 3-4 minutes up the road to a Walgreens, went back to the hotel, washed them all up, wrapped it all up. First of all, as soon as I looked at it, we wrapped it up with a shirt and tied it, not too tight, but enough to reduce the bleeding so it didn't go all over Mark's car. And we wrapped him up, and he didn't complain, and we went right back to collecting, and the kid was a champ and went right back to that shore and was casting on the shore. And he learned his lesson: no more barefoot in the water and the rocks and stuff like that. So. Yeah. But did you show a picture of it?
I have a picture of him sitting on the tailgate. That's what I was trying to find. He's an adorable little champ he is. There he is with his little foot wrapped up, still wanting to be out there. And then we have a picture of his toe, but it's like a couple days healed into it. So it actually looks really clean and healthy, but you can see the gash. It's pretty big. It looked like a murder scene. It was crazy. Jeremiah coming in with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, glad to be here this evening. The red pintos and steels are doing great.
Well, glad to see that you're in chat tonight. Everybody, Jeremiah from last week's chat that I had mentioned, I had sent him some red steels for his order and then included some red pintos so he could play around with the genetics. He had asked some questions on what the red steels would throw. And I just was like, well, you're going to get nothing but red steels. But if I throw you some red pintos out of the same tank where the red steels come from, you will get a few cool little things out of it, like Nanashi, other pintos, and of course more red steels, because they are definitely a dominant trait in the Tai Tai B genetics.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for all your support.
Abstract said you made him walk it off and then get ice cream.
I didn't even have to say like, "Hey, dude, you'll get ice cream afterwards if you champ through this and stuff like that." But he was just down to go fishing and collecting and stuff like that. I didn't want to hold him back.
So the funny thing about this passing one is that he had shoes on. We have slides for every time we go collecting because they make them easy. He can walk in them and they're okay to get wet. His excuse to take them off was he didn't want to get them wet. And I'm like, Jaden, we have those so that you get them wet. And they've worked every time. We have no idea why he decided to take them off. I think it was because it's so hot. He wanted to feel the water, and I think that's his excuse to take off his shoes and didn't really want to say it. We don't know. Things happen like that with kids so fast.
He fall in the water. He just slipped and cut
right
his
on a
foot,
rock.
So
yeah, and then he was like, the entire time he's just like, I'm so lucky to have you guys. And I was like, Jaden, where your parents were supposed to take care of you, and you like, do you think we're just gonna let you bleed and just leave you in the corner somewhere? I just don't know what was going through his head, but he was just so sweet.
With that spot, we were catching the most beautiful jewel cichlids that I'd ever seen. We came up on some Oscars, didn't catch any Oscars. There's iguanas running all around. And we were catching a few of the natives, like the mollies, some bluefin killies, some sunfish, some bluegill, and then called it quits there and moved on out further into the Everglades. So, of course, we had some ice cream. The first stop was much better than the second stop. However, it's like twice the price of our local spot here. So it's like it wasn't twice as good, So that's Miami for you. It's a little bit expensive, but it was still good for the experience. It was on the way out to the Everglades, so it was well worth the trip there. And then, we were able to catch the Machiobrachium over by that ice cream spot. So that's really why we went there in the first place. And then we were catching all sorts of stuff that first night, but saw a few gators here and there. But mainly it's Mayan cichlids, tilapia, largemouth bass, a couple catfish, and then, oh man, lots of mosquitoes. Tons and tons of mosquitoes, that's for sure.
Yep. Got plenty of videos for you guys when I get around to posting them. Like I said, I can't even function. I haven't looked at my phone very often. Jeff Kane also said he met Sam this weekend at Cataclysm, and Sam's really into fishing, of course, and says some high-end shrimp went ridiculously cheap in the auction at Cataclysm. Yeah, that's because everyone there does not care about shrimp. The only reason I wanted to go to Cataclysm, we just planned this out bad, we were actually going to plan on going this year, was actually I was going to put this whole signs up everywhere, feeders for your cichlids, and make it, because those cichlid people will be like, oh, I can't have these, they eat them, and I'm just like, yeah, that's a good idea. Free food, what? Free reproducing food? You feed Daphnia shrimp, what's wrong with red cherry shrimp?
That and all the people that are going to be there. It's not often the Bigs comes to the States. He was there, of course, Sam and Sabu and Jonathan Butkiss. There's a lot of great people that are out collecting that. We would have had a great time. It's just poor planning, but I would argue we had a better time.
Should have put his Crocs in 4x4. Yeah, we need to get them Crocs. We should get a crew of TGOE Crocs. It's ridiculous ones. And just every time we do a collecting trip, we just flip the little TGOE over and start running.
So
trust me, Crocs are where it's at, Grant.
Slides. So the second day was my talk. We had my talk, and then we went to dinner with some of the members from the club, and then we went to. All right, so we caught some sailfin mollies, Doc, but they were not anything better than what we can catch where we were at catching those rockfish. So
I don't think we were trying very hard for
I was
smaller
trying.
fish.
No. I was trying.
I wasn't.
I was
didn't
trying.
care.
If I saw, I mean, also there were several spots where I was looking for. I would have taken some sailfin mollies for bait, and they for sure were not, anywhere
pretty
near
close.
the size of the ones that we can catch in our spot. So, 'tis not the season, as they might say. But I think we can get you some, no problem, and ship them your way. But yeah, we caught maybe 5 in our total trip, and none of them were impressive.
Nano said the kid's a trooper, and both kids are so well behaved. My kids would have been going crazy sitting through a fish club meeting. This is one thing that we have said for a long time, because a lot of times we go to the meetings, and some people are just like so flabbergasted when like I have my kids with me, and they're just like, did you mean to bring them? Like, it's funny the reactions of some of the older gentlemen that don't have that. One of the first clubs we went to was the Tampa Bay Aquarium Club, and there was like barely any children. And I walked in with Jaden was like 2, and I was pregnant with Layla like our first meeting. And then we had the kid and came back later. And I mean, Layla was an infant when I brought him. So both of them grew up, in the fish club meetings. So they're so used to it that it's just like, sometimes they listen, sometimes they're interested, sometimes they just get to play with their other friends at the bigger meeting now, the Pasco Club meeting, or they get tips from running the bags. So they enjoy doing that. You kind of make it a reward system for them to behave. If they don't behave, they don't get those tips that they're given. We'll just leave, and we'll be like, oh, split it out to the other kids because they didn't behave enough. So my kids know, and they're just so used to it. They want that ice cream. So thank you, and I appreciate you saying that too.
So after my talk, after dinner, Mark took us over to the Crutchfields where he is working on his venomous snake permit. And to do that, you need 1,000 hours working with venomous snakes. So he's doing that at the Crutchfield farm. If you don't know who the Crutchfields are, real quickly, when I got into breeding chameleons, I got in it for obviously how cool and interesting that the critters were, but I wanted to develop and create my own morph color bars, patterns, and stuff like that. So that was what I looked out and did for a very short amount of time. Didn't really actually get anywhere with the progress because of how short amount of time I did it. But a lot of the genetics information and crossbreeding and selective breeding and stuff like that I know, I learned through the Crutchfields and reading papers on their iguanas and posts and watching, their Facebook, really a lot of their videos and stuff like that. And, I wanted to do what they were doing with the albino iguanas, the crimson iguanas, the yellow. They are really the people to go to, and they were until Florida changed their laws. They can no longer breed the species iguana. They can do some of the rock iguanas and other types and stuff like that, but they had to get rid of basically all of the morphs and stuff that they had created from scratch. So that kind of kills me right there. But I've really looked up to Tom for a long time, and not only has he left an impact on the hobby, but his kids have kind of taken over. His daughter basically runs the farm now, and her son, so his grandson helps and takes care of it, and they really do have like that household name in reptiles, and it's really someone to look up to. And it's been a dream of mine to go over to the farm, and we saw everything from crocs, the little caiman crocodiles, to caiman lizards, which those two are like bucket list animals for me. I want to keep those, and basically put myself on the top of the wait list for when they have caiman babies. So hopefully they get them breeding this year or next year, and then that will get us to get our butts into gear. I already have basically a whole cage mostly assembled. I just got to put it together. So we could use the old chameleon cage and turn it into caiman lizard and add a pond, and that would be a good cage for it for at least the time until we move into a bigger property and stuff like that. But they had peacocks, chickens, turtles, tortoises. Um, like I mentioned, the iguanas, the pythons, the tree
Bunny.
monitors, emus, and then the venomous
Emus.
lizards like the monocle cobras and stuff like that. We didn't get to visit that, but we got out of there. The kids were kind of getting anxious, and it was hot, so we got on the road and went and got some ice cream, and then went and did some more collecting. But definitely better ice cream at the second location, Mark, than the first time. But we had a lot of fun at the Crutchfields. It was a dream come true. Got a book for Jaden. Jaden can't wait to read it all the way through, but I didn't let him touch it at all this weekend because I was like, I don't want you to get it ruined. Like that's something you sit on the couch and read, and we'll make sure it gets a nice little spot up here on the fireplace for him. But it was a really great experience. Shelby and Vanessa hit it off, really talked a lot, and I got to pick Elijah's brain on the caiman lizards and get prepare a little bit for that. But they mainly eat snails, so they're right at the top of the list of my favorite animals.
Fisk used his member for 2 months membership chat, said, would a 3-day license be worth it to fish by MCO, which I had to Google because I did not know, is the Orlando airport right before it gets on a cruise. You probably want to ask Ryan from Wild Fish Tanks. He's over in that area, and he would tell you most likely yes. I know he goes collecting all the time over there. I think he's got several videos of him collecting in that area specifically. And I'm saying with what we have over here is probably pretty similar to what's over there. So I would say yes, because we personally, that's our number one thing to do is collect. That's why this trip was probably way better than to go up to Cataclysm where we'd have to work and wouldn't have as much fun, where this one was more mainly fun
and
just a little tiny work.
Doing anything.
Exactly. Really I didn't have to do anything.
we paid for extra time in the hotel, and it's really the first time we paid for a hotel for other than work related things in a very long time. But oh man, what was the question that was just brought up?
Would a 3-day license be worth it for?
So yes, absolutely, because in Florida it's not that expensive. Like we were looking into doing it at some of the other states, and it's like you have to pay for an entire license. Over by Orlando, you're not really going to catch too many invasives. It's going to be a lot of Florida natives. If you want to catch anything invasive, you still got to go like a 2-hour drive south. Mm-hmm. So have that in mind. But if you're down to just catch, American flagfish, darters, a lot of the cool natives that we have here in Florida, the chrysotis, the fungulus chrysotis, and stuff like that, those are really easy. And of course, we have the pygmy sunfish. I know Ryan, he lives in Central Florida, and he's able to have some pretty good luck at catching the pygmy sunfish over by him, too.
All right. Shrimp question for Hippon PH. I hope I probably butchered that. I'm so sorry. Have you ever tried using Mr. Aqua Soil for Caridina and Neocaridina? Or have you tried using ADA Amazonia version 2 for Neocaridina as well? What's your take? Still prepping my tanks. Thanks.
So when I first saw Mr. Aqua was at Global, I asked for a bag, got a bag, tried it out, and it really did not buffer the substrate at all. I think when we tried it out, it was like a 6.8, and I'm like, at that pH, it's worth just throwing it away or using it for some house plants. Maybe I got a bad bag, but that just speaks for the inconsistency of it, where I've gotten like 80 bags of Brightwell and never have gotten a bag that didn't buffer appropriately. So I don't know how much the quality has gone since it was when it first came out, if they've done any changes, but I know we did not get very much pH buffering out of the Aqua for Caridina. I haven't used the AD Amazonia version 2 at all because of how much it just turns to mud. and a lot of the reviews that I've heard and read from the people posting on Facebook. And a lot of it is like when people cycle it with any kind of cage in the water. So if you're using it for Neos and you're putting tap water with cage in it, that version 2 is going to turn to mud really quick. So I would use something else for Neocaridina. We have 2 videos on both Neocaridina and Caridina on what I recommend to use. And it really is like the most bang for your buck options, as well as like the preference for looks.
Grant needs another channel just talking about ice cream and reviewing places on his aquatic adventure.
If I had the time, I would so do it, because I am not scared to walk up into the place and be like, you're using too much water. Like Mark was hyping up the place that we went last night. It was Whippin' Dips. It was like a 7, maybe I want to say like a 6.8.
Was that the name? I don't think so.
It was Whippin' Dip.
Oh yeah, the first one.
Yeah, it was like a 6.8. And
Yeah,
I feel
pretty
like Hudson Beach is like a 6.7, so it's like a point above Hudson, where like Papa Clyde's is like a 9.3. So it was not that good, Mark. I'm sorry, but
He's
yeah,
picky. He's too picky.
it was cheap. It was not bad for the price, so I was happy with it. But I was maybe I'm just like mad that they didn't have the guava cheesecake
catch
flavor
up
in
on
stock.
chat because you talk about ice cream too much. Like, gonna have to stop. Fun fact though, we do review like every place we go to. It's pretty funny. We sit there and critique it while we're eating. We're like, we should be food critics, and I'm like, nah, I can't be that rude.
One scoop, everybody knows the rules.
Mike says you guys should sell different shrimp for those little rubber things that plug into the Crocs. That'd be so cool. I would wear them to shows all the time with all the different patterns. Each hole, we'd have to have the whole family with each Croc just to get some of them. Everyone is concerned about Lefty having daggers laying around. He stepped on one of his daggers in the room and said that his foot bleeds like crazy. And then they're all concerned. He just said it fell off the nightstand onto the floor. That's so funny.
Psh, you, Mark. I'm telling you. I'm not afraid to tell you your ice cream was not as good as you're hyping it up. And it was a 45-minute drive, people. It was on the way to go collecting in the Everglades, so it's not that bad.
Two Dogs said, I'm ready for a new Neo line. Already have red Relays, yellow backs, blue dreams, and cherry reds. Suggestions.
I would for sure go for the green emeralds. They're the newest Neocaridina line that's really out there right now. 2, they're in high demand. And 3, I've actually got them in stock right now. So that is a rarity, and get them while you can, basically. Because we don't even have green jades on the website. I can't believe that the green emeralds are out producing them. But that's because they throw less culls. And we actually had to take the culls off the website because people were just getting nice green emeralds. It was a problem.
Steve said, our kids would suffer, but they'd at least be quiet. That's all they want. That's all they care about. Then
that is respect right there, because that just shows how well you have them trained. You are a good parent.
Ashley, you should definitely make a trip to the Everglades if you like any of that stuff. I know some people don't, but if you like that, it is 100% worth it.
I don't know how it took us so long to do that.
I've lived in Florida my whole life,
and I know that the doc is over there going, oh, that's nothing compared to Peru. You'll be catching like 18 different species in every dip net. And I'm like, I know. Let me work up my levels. And then when we get to Peru, I'll still be like, oh my God, I can't believe this is real life right now. Pinch me, Shelby. I'm still dreaming, right?
It was amazing, honestly. It was, even though I am struggling, and I have not had much sleep. It was a incredible experience that we will have for the rest of our lives. That it was really worth it, and we really appreciate all our friends and people that helped us, and our guide Mark that helped for sure. Like,
there's still more. I'm still only
incredible.
on day 2.
Yeah. Mike said, my kids just cost me money when I go to fish shops. He always wanders around and brings back to the table that he found. That's
I
not
wouldn't.
good. You're
I
like,
wouldn't
I'm
be
not
upset.
bringing him because he's bringing too much fish home.
I wouldn't be upset. Shelby did buy some Tetris for her parents that she doesn't think her parents are gonna want. So.
No, they're not what my dad was looking for. I thought they would be a lot cooler. They're cool, but I think Layla would enjoy them more than my parents. So I'm thinking the green raspberries would be more of a touch. So with the green tank and stuff.
So after the Crutchfields, though, we kind of ventured off into the Keys in the southernmost tip of Florida, and we saw some saltwater crocodiles, some Florida orchids, some mahogany trees. We were not catching too much stuff that night. It was more of like, oh, what can we see? We did catch some of the live pike bear, the pike. Oh my god! Save me, Shelby. The live bearing pikefish.
I can't save you. I can only save myself.
The Balinese. Whatever they are. I can't
Mark's
remember.
the one that would need to help you. Mark should have just came back up to do the lunch.
So we
he's tired too.
I don't know if I could keep the caiman in with the terrapins, but the terrapins are going in the pool, all of them.
I feel like the caimans would not intentionally, but would accidentally maybe nip at the fin.
I feel like they eat small turtles, and that's what
like
was told to me is they eat the turtles. So
I feel like they would.
I think they would eat the turtles.
I just wouldn't trust it because both of them are very expensive animals. So I wouldn't like. I mean, what if they eat the turtle and then they get sick? I don't know. I just wouldn't even chance it.
What is Mark saying? There was like a whole.
He said that he was gonna hook Dr. Anthony up.
I'm gonna hook you up, Doc. Way before.
He said rainy season. They aren't swimming in the elevated water levels. I got it.
Well,
makes sense because it was like flowing like crazy in some of those.
And then we saw 2 different types of owls. The crocodiles. We saw baby crocodiles, and then the babies were getting spooked by us, and then they swam back over towards the mom, and then you could see all the babies on the bank. It was really cool. There was a couple crocodiles that were just swimming around, scooting around. There was one that was just sitting right by a picnic table, like waiting for somebody to bring their dog and just have lunch, and then just scoop a little bite to eat. The rainbows?
I'm just not used to the bubbles. It's been a few days, so everything sounds like it's leaking.
And then,
especially in Florida, always get a permit and license. Mark's right. It's better safe than sorry, especially if you want it.
Yeah, if you can get a 3-day license, that I think that's what the doc did. It was cheap, and we made it worth it. So. I'm trying to think.
Answer that question about the soil, right?
Yeah, I did. Why?
I blacked out the whole answer. The whole answer. Sorry.
Did they ask something again?
No. Someone else was talking about it, and then it reminded me. I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. We saw a lot of snakes. That's when we saw the python. We saw a couple scarlet snakes. We did see one rat snake. Man, I can't remember what kind of rat snake it was. And then a corn snake, and that was really cool. The corn snake and the scarlet snakes, both of the kids got to hold. Very peaceful snakes. They didn't want anything to do with biting or anything like that. And it was a really cool experience. There was a few basilisk lizards running around. We did see one curly tail lizard just driving through the parking lot, and Shelby's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's a curl tail."
It was cute.
Yeah. And then like at the Crutchfields, they have day geckos running all over the place, and those things are just like so cool. I had one come and eat a mealworm off my hand. Man, I know I'm going to be forgetting a lot of the stuff that we saw, but
so much.
It was a great night for snakes. We wanted to find a chameleon. We didn't find any of that until today, but it wasn't one that we found. It was one that Richard found. But then Sunday we pretty much did some more peacock bass fishing. Went on to the Tamiami Trail, did some fishing, and got I got a peacock bass. The kids got Mayans. Shelby got some Mayans, and I got a largemouth bass, pretty good sized one. And Florida Fish and Wildlife rolled up on us, and they're like, "Oh, what do you got? What do you keep?" And I was like, "Oh, well, we're not keeping anything, and like this is the only thing I've caught all day." And I was like, "Can you give me a second? Like, I'm trying to film and take pictures and get this fish like in the water and not like have it starving, gasping for air." And so she just was like, "Oh, that's all you're doing," and left. Didn't ask for our fishing license or anything. So very, very good interaction with FWC. She just saw a family having fun on the bank catching fish, but that's when you know it's a good fishing spot, when FWC rolls through, because there's probably some stuff in there that we shouldn't have been taking or messing around with. So it was a good thing we left all that in there, but
They had the snakehead.
they had the snakeheads. There's some iguanas running around. That was also where Jaden. That's also where Jaden cut his foot. So we went back to that spot. Jaden put his blood in the water, so we chummed the water. All the good stuff was coming.
Another shrimp question says Jeremiah Cock. I'm so terrible tonight. If I have a tank with fluval stratum and tissue culture plants, Rotala bacopa, crypts, etc., with tap water, will your Neocaridina parameters, tangerine tigers, like that?
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with anything that you just said for the tangerine tigers, so that'll be just fine.
Mike says, tub season is short in Iowa. How short of a time frame is too short to set up some Neos outside? I'm late to the game like this.
So what I would do is I would set it up, and I don't know how you're going to set up your tub, if it's going to freeze all the way through, if you're going to insulate it or something like that, because we had LRB who basically set up little jacuzzis for his shrimp and did them all year round. Basically, as long as the tubs don't freeze solid shut, the shrimp are going to be fine. We had shrimp down in 27-degree water temperature without any losses. So you can definitely get away later on in the year, but you're only going to get like a month or two of good breeding if you throw in nice size adults right now. So maybe get the tank going and seasoned and see if it freezes all the way through. You can put some greenhouse plastic and some stuff on it like that. Get a good water pump or something running in there to stop it from freezing. But I don't know the exact measurements and rules for how deep you have to bury a pond or whatever to keep them from freezing all the way through. But it might be doable. I don't know an exact answer for that. So if it's something you can move into the garage, go for it.
Nathan said, I'd be interested in hearing what you think of the place in Naples. It's called Royal Scoop and has been here a very long time. I've been here 33 years and it was there before that. That's insane. Is it homemade? That's the key, honestly. It's like, we're not big into soft serve. It's okay, but it's like you can get that anywhere. Especially in soft serve in Florida, it's just awful because it melts too fast.
The crazy thing is I've been thinking about this, and like when Dave Courtney does it with pizza, he only gets cheese. I can't do just vanilla. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to order 3 scoops, and it's going to have to be strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate. And automatically strawberry is going to be like a 5 because I don't like artificially flavored strawberry. However, if it's homemade ice cream and they flavor it with actual strawberries and not artificial flavoring, boom, it's a 9.2 or better. You know what I mean? So, like, that's what I'm looking for strawberry. Vanilla, it's going to be all about the consistency. And then chocolate, of course, flavor. It's hard to beat Papa Clyde's flavor of chocolate. And the consistency is on point. So it's just hard to do.
She said, I'm a Florida native and sad to say I've never been to the Everglades. It's like, it seems like no one that lives here has been like there. It's like tourists, but that's the thing. Like, I grew up in the Keys, like it was not far to go to the Everglades. It's just not something we ever thought about doing. We went to the beach or something else. So.
If anybody is interested in taking, like, say, a trip to the Everglades or a trip to the Crutchfield Farms or something like that, I can definitely get you in touch. It does cost to do a tour this way, but I do have Mark's contact information if you guys would like a tour guide to take you through South Florida. It is definitely worth it. No, we did not get the Florida ghost orchids. It was.
No,
I don't
didn't see those
know.
at all.
I'm not
Those
an
are
orchid person.
incredible.
Yeah, I'm not an orchid person, so like
Those are
we
not-
might have been seeing those and just not even known it.
Yeah, because
Like,
it just looks like a vine.
yeah. So I
Nothing was blooming.
yeah,
though.
they weren't those ones. I'm sorry. If those are the only two orchids in Florida, then I don't know. What do the ghosts look like?
Kind of look like little dancing orchids.
Oh, that is the ghost. That was all the same one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, they weren't the Florida ghost ones.
Yeah, we didn't. It wasn't blooming, so we have no idea exactly which ones they were. There was no leaves, or there was leaves on the ones that we saw, so it's definitely not what that is. Oh, Richard said it forgot to send the orchids for Sarah. Oh no.
I also forgot to get tiger limias. I didn't know. Don't even look at me like
It's all your
that
fault.
because I looked at both of you. And I was like,
I
all right,
said, yeah.
I got the fish. I need to get these. Is there anything else I need to get? And neither one of you talked to me about tiger limias. I just told you which ones Mark had. I didn't know you were getting them off of him or anything like that. My hearing is kaput.
Joe said, do you ever have issues with mosquito larvae in your shrimp-only tanks?
Only if there isn't any bubbles going and a good flow. We have lids on almost all of our tanks, so really it's not an existent problem. But for the hang on the back filters and stuff like that, if there isn't a good ripple on top of the surface, like there's any clogged filter guards or something like that, then yeah, we might get a mosquito that'll lay a larva in there. But then all I have to do to get rid of them is clean the filter guard. The flow on the filter will pick up, and the ripples on top of the water will drown the mosquitoes. They need the larva use a snorkel to breathe out of the water. And if the ripples are just going over the snorkel, it's just dumping water into the snorkel and drown them.
Greg says the super chat's not coming through. Something's wrong. I don't know what's going on. It's weird. Steven C says, but man, how hot can the Neos go? My tub sits in the Louisiana heat.
I had recorded 93 degree temperatures in the Orange Neocaridina pond.
Which that's in the water. So, like, I think we got up to 109 last year in temperature. Not that hot. 100 and... It wasn't that hot. It was like 103. So.
I try not to look how hot the days get, so I just care about how cold it is. Under 60, not going outside.
Coro said, if you are collecting, observing for documenting fish and you get net an invasive species, are you responsible for that fish remaining in the waterway if you release it? What is the procedure?
So, we do a good job at taking care of the invasives, using them for bait and stuff like that. We do our best to put them out of the misery as fast as possible. If we are doing that, there are some that they're just too pretty, like the jewel cichlids. Shelby couldn't do it.
I know.
The ones that were in breeding dresses, even though they're in breeding dresses, like you just can't do that. You know what I mean? But with the fish, you just need to make sure that you don't take them from one waterway and move them into another waterway. There are certain fish that you can't take at all. Like you can't be caught moving snakeheads. So if we collected any snakeheads or anything like that and you don't want to kill them, you are allowed to just simply put them right back where you found them. You are not required to take them out of the water and euthanize them yourselves.
Oh,
You can if you want. You would just be saving the native population. There's certain species, obviously, like the Mayans and tilapia, where there's so many of them. You can definitely tell that there's not a lot of sunfish down there, and it's because the Mayans, the tilapia, are definitely taking out the sunfish population. Maybe the peacock bass are also, doing that, but I don't think they're doing it more than like the native population of bass would.
Thank you so much, Mike, from All Things Fish, for the $2 super chat. Said thanks for the help. So they are working. So something might be going on your end. Nathan said that one actually has strawberries in it, so you'll like it. Homemade, sell pints. Sounds like ours. Maybe next time you visit Richard. No, we just didn't have time. We were like needing to get home because we were so exhausted, and all the fish too. So
maybe I'll do an ice cream review channel.
It would be pretty.
Yeah,
we'll do it while we're traveling
right here,
and do it like traveling.
We'll just start with Papa Clyde's tomorrow.
All right. In Sire Aquatics, I live in upstate New York. Just put 6 blue diamonds in a 2.5-gallon Dollar Tree bucket with a huge clump of Java moss outside the other day. Thoughts or advice? That might get too hot.
I would get a bigger bucket. 2.5 gallons would be the smallest bucket we've ever tried outside. We do use like the Home Depot 5-gallon buckets and the Lowe's buckets. You can get a Home Depot bucket for like $2.74. Use it for like 5 seasons until that thing is about to be dry rot and crumble away. And I'm not saying like 5 seasons like spring, winter, fall. I'm talking like 5 years worth. And once it starts to dry rot, take it to Lowe's and get a brand new bucket, because they'll take Home Depot's bucket and swap it out. So that way they're getting the advertisement wherever you're bringing that bucket and not Home Depot. So it doesn't matter the condition. If you find a Home Depot bucket on the road, it doesn't matter what's in it. Bring it to Lowe's and they'll give you a brand new, nice blue bucket.
Belinda's Crystal and Succulent Garden, thank you so much for the $10 super sticker. It is thank you. It's a little pear. It's so cute. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you for the support. And then my man, Garcia Aquatics. I wish somebody would go to the live stream and pull my face out when I noticed Garcia was in the background. I thought that I was only good enough for Jay, Nano the aquarium guy, of our regular followers and YouTube fam to show up. I know Richard had work and obligations, and Eduardo uses Richard as the ride. There was excuses there, but Garcia, I was like, oh man, he's not going to show up. And then right when things started to get boring, there he is, right in the back. And I was like, oh, all right, I gotta get things back livened up. Let's tell a few jokes. My man Garcia's here, so. How's it going, man? I try to start looking.
Thank you, Garcia. Dr. Anthony said Grant also forgot to send me facts.
Listen.
He felt so bad, I swear. He was huffing and puffing around the house because he's like, I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, I forgot to send those back. I mean, like 20 minutes later, after he already got upset about it, he was still upset. And he was just like, every time he saw it, I'd be like, Are you still upset? He's like, yeah.
Listen, you're messing with me and talking with me on last week's live stream and chatting with me about having 2 male paired up discus. So yeah, I was like, all right, he's not too mad at me. And then you bring it up again, so he's still mad at me.
Ashley said, I have a small aquascape tank with a petrified rock, driftwood, and all green plants. I've been trying to decide what neos to put in. What are both of your opinions? Green, emeralds, or yellow?
They're both good options. I would pick your favorite color. My favorite color is green. That's what I would pick.
If you want to see them more often, yellow is going to stand out more, but green emeralds are to die for. Obviously, they are a very beautiful shrimp, but you're not going to see them. So it's like playing like Where's Waldo, kind of. So it takes a little bit longer to find them, especially with anything in green. But they would probably be super happy and look great. Just harder to see. So depends on what you like.
She hit the nail on the head with it. Yellows and reds are a good combination for aquascapes if the animals count as part of the score, for sure.
Um, Mark was the one that picked up the tank for us, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I got my mud skipper today. I'm so excited. The kids lost it when I brought that out in the bag, and it was not only was it just adorable, but it jumped from the water to the side of the bag, and its like little hands held on. It was like looking at Layla with its little beady eyes, and she was like, "Oh, the thing's so cute." So they're super excited. Let's hopefully I do well with it. The first time we did mud skippers, they did not fare well because the pet store told us they were fully freshwater. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be super easy. And we had this like turtle dock we put in it, and they would come up. And then that's exactly how they had it set up at their pet stores, a turtle dock with mud skippers and then baby turtles in it. And I was like, oh, look how easy this is. This is so cool with these little beady eye. I love them. I love ugly fish sometimes. So, like, they're definitely one that are, like, real weird looking. I like, but yeah, they clearly did not do well because they're not supposed to be in that. And they also need sand to dig down into, which was also not provided in that tank and also not aware. I guarantee you today, if they still get mud skippers in, because I know they don't have them all the time, but they would still put it in that tank and sell them and tell people the same exact thing. Reasons why we don't go to our fish store.
So back to Sunday, the weather did start to get a little rough, so we decided. I already covered that. So we decided let's grab some food, and we were getting desperate for food. I'll be honest. So we're like, oh, what's easy, and found some Thai food, and we were about to pull into Thai food, and Shelby's like, but I found some Indian food with a 0.1 higher star.
And I love Thai food, by the way. This was for me. And I knew that Mark and Grant both would have loved Indian food better. So, I sacrificed.
I've been craving good Indian food since our North Carolina trip where we went with Harley after the expo. And I was just like, this part of the town is so nice. All the restaurants are higher end. So I was like, that caliber of Indian food, I'm just not going to get it again. And we got it in Miami or wherever we were. It wasn't. Everything's down to Miami, right, Mark? That's all Homestead, Fort Myers, it's all South Florida's Miami. That's what you're telling me, right? That's not it. That's not it at all. He was getting upset because the kids were calling everywhere Miami, and it's not. I just don't know what counties are which and whatnot. So I'm pretty sure that was in Davie since it was right next to the hotel. But we ended up going to this Indian food restaurant, filled up. And I was like rejuvenated. I was like checking the radar, saw that the rain was about to disappear. And I was like, you want to go back to where we went Friday night? And Mark's like, yeah, you want to? And I looked at Shelby and she's like, yeah, let's go. So we ended up going back, doing some more collecting. And this time it says sightseeing and hunting for gators and stuff like that. We really just targeted fish and went after as many different species and big fish as we possibly could. Caught my largest gar, caught a bunch of bass. Really just like we went to a bunch of like culverts and levees and stuff like that. Got some jaguar cichlids, got a lot more of those live bearer pike fish. We saw some baby gators. We saw more gators, like just not trying to find gators than when we were trying to find gators. Found some peacock bass that we were about to dip net, and then they got away. I was a little upset about that, but went back on our trip and was just getting everything. And then I was like, all right, we're gonna do one last stop. And that's when we found those Oscars. And that was like really one of the fish that we hadn't caught yet that I really wanted to be able to catch. So still on the bucket list, we have snakeheads, knife fish, and then Midas cichlids. So And then, of course, some type of chameleon. Like, Mark, you let me down. You didn't find no chameleons. I go to Richard's, and Richard's like, you should have come to me. I got all the chameleons. They're all around here. We've got issues with chameleons. I crossed this school one day, and they're crossing the road. So it's like, Mark, I don't. Can you go see if Thea's okay? It's Thea in that room. So I'm sorry. One of our dogs we put up in the room because she's more comfortable in there. And she's making some weird hacking noise. So is everything okay?
Yeah.
All right. So we were back on our normal route, went collecting where Mark likes to go, and we were catching, like I said, all different types of fish. Got to the end, caught some Oscars, and then we were about to call it a night. Went to one more bridge. I tried to get this like massive largemouth bass. Wasn't able to catch him, but I did catch like the largest gar of the entire night. So I forgot to send your prize before Dallas. I hope I sent it already after Dallas. If not, let me know. I'll take care of that for you. But anyways, we're back on our way out, and Mark's like, "Oh, I want to show you one more spot." And we go to, and really all I wanted to do that whole day was catch peacock bass. And we go to this last spot, and Mark didn't even get out of the car because he knew I was gonna get out and I was gonna see the most peacock bass that I ever saw ever. And I saw him. I almost caught one bare hands. So I was like, first thing I did was return to the truck, grabbed the net, went back, caught a bunch of them. In fact, I was actually able to catch a largemouth bass and a peacock bass, not very big, like that big, in the same net. And Shelby got a picture of that, and then me releasing them both at the same time, so you're able to see the difference between the two of them. But yeah, that was like the best spot period out of all of the collecting that we had done, and we ended up spending like an extra 2 hours there. So what was going to be a short night ended up being like a super really long night, and it was a lot of fun. That was the most worth spot and lack of sleep that I think I've ever had.
So quick announcement. If we do a giveaway and you get a giveaway, email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com, your address, your name. You can put the prize in there if you want to. Usually I have them written down, but I cannot send out anything to someone when I don't know your address. So send us your address and you'll get your prize.
And if you send it to thegardenofeater@gmail.com, she sees it. So it's not relying on me with my lack of memory and everything like that. So.
And our dog was fine. Layla was coughing. She was just coughing. I got her water. She was just coughing.
Oh.
She was fine. She just needed some water.
Here I am thinking Thea's hacking up the world's largest fur ball or something like that. I have no idea.
No, she's okay. I opened the door and she's like, "Hey, what's up?"
But that Sunday night was great. We really had explored the Everglades to its fullest. We caught everything from Burmese pythons to the Oscars. We got to see walking catfish. Even found some albino walking catfish, and it was like one thing after another of amazement and excitement. And I'm usually like a type of person around like 1, 2 o'clock. I really start to get tired and yawning a lot. And it was probably 3:30, and I was still game to run around with the dip net, and it was a lot of fun.
So Nathan, I definitely would have invited you if we didn't think about it at all. I thought you were a little bit further north for some reason. I don't. And let's just say we threw all these trips together to go these places at the last minute. Mark was like, "I'm going to take care of you guys." So we kind of just like followed Mark. So What? Yes, you are always welcomed. If we make a trip, like Nano's even saying, the Aqua Expo, which is like one of our favorite trips, we will go collecting one of the nights for sure. Especially now that we know a lot of the spots and know what to do, and everyone seems to be in that area. So hit us up, let us know. A lot goes on during these things, so we forget, but you are more than welcome to tag along. He said he's not angry at all. He's just messing with you.
But Nathan, if you wanted to go or something like that, I'm sorry if you felt left out. I was like talking to Nano and everybody in chat last week. I thought it was an open invitation. I apologies if I didn't make that clear enough. I was trying to go have ice cream with Nano, and he just brought the ice cream to me because he didn't have time to go and do anything. So
That was so awesome. I still can't get over that. That was so amazing. Foxy Fishes did a $5 super chat. Says Mermaid Fund. Love it. Thank you so much, Foxy. Thanks for joining us tonight.
thank you, appreciate that. I don't think we need a mermaid though. We've got enough here. Between her and Layla, we've got two mermaids.
It's my fun.
Oh, I get that's what it is.
Oh. You love ugly fish. Some of them are nice.
All right. So that was the Everglades, not in its entirety. I know I forgot half of the things that we saw, and I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but like one of the roads was entirely all 4-wheel drive. Like our little car was not going to make it, so we are lucky enough that Mark was prepared enough, and it was a really good time. And then one of the when you go to the Coral Springs Expo, there's this guy in one of the corners that always has a ton of like cool killies and other little rarities and stuff like that. And his name is Vadim, and it was offered to me to go visit his house before I did my talk, and I was like, "Oh no, we've got enough going on." I knew exactly who it was and stuff like that, but then in the auction, he had some wild bettas, and I was like, "Oh." I saw Shelby's face when she didn't win the auction on them. I was like, "Did you want those?" Like I was trying to tell you to keep going on them, and she didn't win them. And she's like, "Yeah, I want them." And I asked Vadim if he had them, and he's like, "Yeah, I got more at the house." And I was like, "You mind if we come by maybe on Monday, grab some, and head out?" And he's like, "Yeah, no problem." So we got to go visit Vadim's lovely little fish room. He is a true Achilles breeder. You look at that room and you can see that man does everything to the best of his ability for the full benefit of the fish. Everything is, health and quality of the fish, not so much aesthetics and how it looks or anything like that. And when you do that, sometimes you get some really outstanding fish. And he's able to breed some of the stuff that nobody else really is or working on. So to see his fish room, I know I learned a few things, but Shelby was more talking to him more than I was. I really was like lost on half of the things that they were even talking about. So.
Yeah, when we start talking in Latin terms, he kind of loses it. It was an incredible fish room. Gave me so much inspiration. I'm super excited. Got my wild betas. I have now an obsession with the wild betas, especially mouth brooding. I seem to do pretty well with those because we have the lower acidic water, so they tend to like those and do really well. I thought he had wild beta macrostomas.
He did.
And he did, but not available. And I was just staring at them like, but there's a lot of them. I didn't have the heart to ask because someone is not offering them. That's because those are all going to be breeders. Like he's going to be splitting those out and breeding them. And I'm like, but they're right here. They were so nice. They're like one of the coolest fish, but I got the knockoff version.
What we do is we wait for him to breed his homebred ones that he bred himself. And then we have him bring some up when he does the talk. And he brings you pair and then brings a pair for the auction.
And then what? Oh, I missed it. Oh, Nano Aquarium Guy. The Indian place is in Weston, Sunrise, Florida, and it's called, I can't pronounce it, so it's Zaika Weston, and then just look up Indian food.
I think it's Zaika, but it was a little expensive, but worth every cent. Like each entree was $20. That is a little expensive when it comes to eating out. Like, $16 is about average, I would say. But
Mike's asked you this like 10 times. I think he just tried to.
I think I answered it before. I think we're far enough behind.
No.
Chat.
He's asked it like several times because I said that. I think you said that.
I got a peacock on that on the.
Stop!
What?
He's gonna clip. He's gonna take in each one of these ones and clip the video. It's just gonna sound awful. That's so funny.
Got one on rod and reel, and then we dip netted a bunch of them. The first night we caught probably 30 of them in the dip net, so they were just small ones.
Nathan said, "Why would I take my glasses off? I'm trying to read something." Nathan said, "Richard, plus I'm hoping to have my fishing license figured out, but the next time I can literally help you in like 2 seconds. There's my FWC app. It will take 2 seconds to get that situated. Just buy the fresh and saltwater fishing license and you're good to go." But he said, so I don't have to be the bucket carrier. Actually would be like the flashlight carrier for sure. Like we don't usually use a bucket. We have to run back to the buckets half the time.
But after Vadim's house, we were going to go visit one of our other friends who has a bunch of reptiles and birds and capybara and other things like that. But he had to run to the zoo for an emergency, so another time we'll make that visit. But then we headed over to Richard's house. And Richard's house was really the cherry on top to the weekend. It was, Vadim's house was great. Richard's house was every bit of amazement that Mark said it was. Mark really hyped it up, said it was an immaculate fish room. Everything was really well put together, organized. You go to some people's houses and you can tell they're hobbyists. You go to Richard's house, you can tell he's a hobbyist, a breeder, but he's also a construction worker because everything is done right. And the system that he did, the way he framed out his garage, I will be stealing some of that. We'll be getting a lot more done in the garage here soon. We are like pushing how much our budget is a little bit right now. Finishing up Jaden's room, the giant RO system upgrade that we made, and the little vacation that we just took. So might need to run some sales and some summer clearance blowout culls and stuff like that, and make room and start upgrading some things that we want to start working on. But I think we have to push those stands back and just prepare for the future.
No idea what you're talking about.
No, you know what I'm talking
I'm so
about.
confused.
In the garage to do the framework that Richard did.
Yeah.
You might as well just start moving.
Did you just talk about Richard's room and I completely wasn't listening?
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Oh my God.
I'm so sorry.
Talked about everything.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I just barely touched on it. So
it was so amazing. Like all the fish. I'm just like, all right, just plug and play this into my bedroom, no problem. Let's do it. Like every fish, and I don't even. Okay, I'm not a big cichlid person for sure, but like the Bicharde tank was incredible, and they had little babies in there, and I'm just like, this is too. I'm just sitting like on the ground for a second, just watching them, and like they're not like overly brightly colored, but they have the prettiest fins on them, and they are just probably one of my favorite of the cichlids. Besides, like he had a beautiful Cocatoides and another fish that's related to that, but like brighter orange. Grant's got video of it.
I don't know if it was the opal or what. I can't remember now. It was one of the cool ones, and now I just can't think of it.
I just got pseudomagills that are incredible, and when we were there, his fry, the only thing you could see on that fry body was the bright blue eye, and it's just like one little, it looks like a floating eyeball in the tank because it's bright blue. I mean, it shines without light. no light on it, and it's shining, and it's got like a little speck on its face of blue. So it's just like this little blue darter in the tank, and it's incredible. And then he had a bigger tank with them that were just beautiful. They got that lemon color and then the blue eye, and they are just to die for. Like, if I don't know how I'm gonna ever sell these, honestly. Like, I'm terrible with my fish.
I'll do it while you're at work.
Yeah, that's the only way that
That's
can
how
get
I'll
done.
do it.
I could breed them, and then like I could get overwhelmed and then send them out. But
the cool thing about Richard's house was that, you know, we visited a lot of fish rooms and stuff like that. Very rarely am I able to like interact and do things in the fish room. Like, we went to visit the cichlid barn, and he had me catch and clear out an entire vat. And he thought he was getting free labor, which he was, but like, I was having the time of my life because there was 3 cichlids in that pond that I've never really worked with. And I got to look at the different varieties and body shapes of these fish to really, like, you know, get a firsthand experience. And I got to do that in Richard's. We got to catch a bunch of the CPDs. Richard is our CPD breeder. They weren't full grown, so I got to put those in a smaller tank, watch those grow out. A little easier to catch them than my larger tank that I have them all in right now. But I just can't cut that population down anymore. I'm absolutely in love with that 55-gallon CPD tank. Even though they're a nano fish, it's so cool to see them all swimming around and owning that tank.
Dr. Anthony says it'd be nice to speak at the Aquatic Expo. You'd have to talk to Craig. He's in charge of that. I don't know if he has a spot yet.
I don't know if they have speakers.
They do. They have speaker rooms. Yeah.
I think that was just for the ALA the one year.
No,
I don't think
last year they had speakers, and yeah, because people would disappear. We were busier than normal, but they do. Let's see if Craig's doing it this year.
And hold on, though, it's not the Aquatic Expo in South Florida. That's Aqua Expo. The Aquatic Expo is where we were in North Carolina. So I can also hook you up with that person as well. Yeah. So I got you, Doc. I'll throw you in both directions.
Is he still going to do the same show?
I have no idea.
We have to.
I have no idea. And then there was like an email that we had got of another show in North Carolina. So.
Foxy Fishes met Sam's scales as well.
Want to give away a Sam's print?
Might as well.
Go grab one.
I can't. I'm gonna throw up.
I'll go grab it.
I'm struggling. I'm so sorry, guys. Majority of people visiting Key West are over 60. Yeah, that is true. The only time you don't see over 60 is Fantasy Fest. Nathan. Oh man, it was a struggle. Like, we really thought for a little bit that we weren't going to get any of that, but we definitely did. I was so jealous of some of the people at Cataclysm this weekend.
I didn't even know we had this one. It's a blue dream.
No, that's a blue ball.
No, it's not.
It's a blue ball. That's not a blue dream. We do have a blue dream one, though. That's not the blue dream one. Oh, can you grab my wild betas? They're still on the counter. We have all our fish that we have to take care of after the stream, so no sleep for us. They are beta chidoides, I believe. I might have butchered that. Dr. Anthony, don't kill me on that. Chinoides, maybe. Chinoides. Those. Oh, sorry. And they're just still little babies, but I got my 2 males in there. This is terrible. Terrible quality, but they'll color up quite a bit. There's a little white line on the tail, and they'll color up and be pretty red. Richard also helped us get some live food started. I already forgot what the name of those are. If you're still listening, Richard, you can put those down. I'm excited for that because all my Achilles fish will like that. And all the fish we have. Obviously, live food is the cream of the crop. But those are pretty much like the knockoff wild betas of the macrostomas. Did I say that right? I'm sorry. Oh man, I was falling asleep the whole car ride. I was trying to stay up, and then it just kept nodding right off.
I'm telling you. It's blue dream.
It's definitely a blue steel or blue gold. There's no green coloring in a blue dream and shadowing like that at all.
All right. Either way, we're gonna give it away.
It was pretty big. There was one actually where the first fishing spot we were at, and it was pretty big, and I was pretty upset because I had dropped in live bait, and it swam up, saw me, and it was like, "You almost got me," and I never saw it again. I was so upset.
All right. I saw a massive fish from the shore where Jaden cut his foot.
That's how
And I cast it right on top of it, and it didn't even look that way. So that one got away for sure.
You do need to have a fishing license for using just a dip net.
Yeah.
That's anywhere you go. There's also some places that make you get a specific dip net license because you're taking, a lot of times they know you're taking natives. And then especially if you were to keep anything or want to keep anything, you also need you can only do a limit. So you have to check from each county and each area that you're in on their limit and whether you need to have a license for that specific. Most of the time you have to have a commercial fishing license in order to, that would be to resell. So you need to have just a freshwater license to have it. So, but it's like $5 a day, I think, in Florida. Yeah. Creeped on Ryan's Instagram, and boy, does he have some cool fish. Yes, for sure. Yeah. I'm lucky to be in the same club as him. Sometimes we get the same ones, so it works out pretty nice. Oh, I'm reading so slow. I'm sorry.
I'll go back to Richard's house. So I was talking about the CPDs. I also caught Pseudo Miguel's. He has 3 lines of our shrimp, and he was packed and fully loaded. And I was like, I need to seed some of the aquariums inside the house. They're my lines. I know they're good quality. He had them on white substrate, and they still all look pretty good. So,
incredible.
We got some of those and some Daphnia.
What's a Daphnia?
Yeah.
It's not Daphnia.
It's not I thought it was a type of Daphnia.
No, that's why I asked him what the name of it is in chat. Because they're not Daphnia is bigger. These are slightly smaller. I don't know. He said it probably 20 times. Don't ask me. I'm not here today. I'm not here. Living Dream says, so looking at raising shrimp to enter into a competition, I've had a couple of lines of Caridina, but I'm still wondering if they would be worth working on Neos as well. What is your thought?
So in our competition, there is one category for Neos, and every other competition, like the international ones, there's usually 2 categories for Neo Caridina. If you like trophies and you like winning, absolutely, but it is the hardest category to probably place in besides the Galaxy Pinto category. You really have the bread and butter of the Neo Caridina and then the super high end with the Galaxy Pinto. So the 2 of them together is where most of the people enter into those categories, making it the hardest competition. But if you can breed really large, solid, high-quality Neo Caridinas, you should have a good chance of placing. A lot of times in the international contest, the winners are going to be massive, but it's really like solid color and good leg color and stuff like that. If they're all uniform, that's what's going to score the most points. So pick your favorite color and just work on it. And they're really easy Neo Caridinas. We talked about, a 5-gallon bucket outside. Most people can breed them, put them in the shade, make it so that they have a little bit of sun and stuff like that. But they're interesting and pretty easy, and they don't have all the upkeep that the Caridina do. So if if you want to enter more information on entering in the contest, we have a few live streams and videos on that.
All right. So I did start the giveaway. It's hashtag Sam Scales. That's with a Z. So I will put it at the bottom. Oh my goodness gracious! I pressed the wrong button.
And besides all the other fish that I named, we also got some wild endlers.
Is it
So-
for all of them or just this one?
Just that one.
This beauty right here.
Shelby says it's a blue ball. I think it might be
Did
a
you
blue
message
dreamer.
Sam?
No, I didn't.
Right now. I think it's a blue bolt for sure. And Dr. Anthony said Aqua Expo. Yeah, so Craig will be the person to talk to.
But you want to speak at both.
KJE said, I want to come down to collect in Florida. It's well worth it for sure. If you're ever in the area, we're always down to go collecting. Silver Creek, I am just overly exhausted. Haven't gotten much sleep and then like just staying out all night. And it's pretty humid. We get humid up here, but like I was outside the whole time. So it's like, and I didn't want to stop or go in the car. I forced myself to go in the car the last night because I was like, I gotta relax or else I'm not making it back.
We definitely pushed ourselves maybe a little too far, but like every bit of it was worth it. The experience that we had and the time, you just can't get that back. And do it while we're young is what everybody keeps telling us. And, somebody just turned 30 and somebody else is already breaking down at a rapid pace. So
rude. So rude. He got my age wrong. That was so rude. Living Dream Aquatic says, so what is a wild beta compared to regular betas? So I love regular betas. There's different types of wild betas and what they are. There is some that are closely related to the ones that you find in the store. I'm specifically looking for some of the wild betas that are mouth brooding instead of breeding with another one. So like these, like, yes, thank you.
I got you.
Sorry. I've bred both. The bubble nest is easy, pretty much. It's just a little bit more of a step process where the wild beta's mouth brooding, you just throw them in a tank. I have already the beta edithaes that are breeding like crazy and where they're kind of like white with like a shimmery blue fin for the males. The females are just like a little striped. That's the same with each one of the wild betas. The females have like striped and no color really. And then the males have a lot of color. But they are to die for.
But the biggest difference is the betas in the stores are betas that have been selective bred for color, for body shape, for fin shape, for length of fins, and all this other stuff. Where the ones that Shelby has are the exact morph that they take out of the wild. There hasn't been any genetic selective breeding or alternation done at all to make them look like, ooh, that's the fanciest fish I've ever seen. I'll buy that one.
Yeah.
Even though it's in poor health and shape and stuff like that. It's one of those things where the betas, they suffer a lot more than other fish. So
Jeff said, Shelby, you guys had an awesome weekend yourselves. Thought though it would have been great to see you there. Yes, it would have been awesome. Yeah, we missed a lot of people that live in the area.
I saw all the people that were there. I would have preferred maybe to do my talk in South Florida and at a different time so we could have gone to the combo plate, but you live and you learn. Maybe next year I'll put the cats and the cichlids on the calendar. I forgot to do it. I thought it was open.
Crip is working. He is busy.
I think he fell asleep.
No.
Because he asked me if that was a good question of the week. I told him no. And then he just never answered after that one. So he's quite busy. I think he falls asleep Monday nights before the party gets started.
Yes, Spaghetti. I mean, realistically, I think an officer probably would be lenient, but you get those ones that have had really bad days and have been dealing with some people, and if you don't have the right licensing, it's just not worth it. But yes, if you're here, it's a lot of them are really cheap unless you're in Louisiana and they want you to pay $30 to dip net for one day. That's ridiculous.
So Richard said it is Daphnia, by the way.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It's just a smaller variety instead of the red.
Moina. Okay, I remember now. Okay.
Instead of the
I'm gonna
red
forget.
magnas that get really big.
Sorry, I'm reading really slow pace tonight.
Oh, you're good.
We'll pull that soon because I am probably gonna have to leave here in a second.
We basically talked about everything that happened this weekend. Richards was the cherry on top, the final thing on the to-do list. Besides have some ice cream tonight before bed, and we took care of that. Oh, the live stream, I guess. That's the final thing on the to-do list. How far back are we in chat? Oh, pretty far.
Pretty far, yeah.
Oh, no, only 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I lied. I don't know why. I thought we were an hour 45 and not 35 minutes.
Oh, yeah. That happens. Usually, a lot. See, I'm the opposite. I haven't taken anything from shows in a while, that I've just been taking paintings. I have so many of Sam's paintings that need to be hung up. It's ridiculous. I need hundreds of pictures frames, but I'm very particular. I want unique picture frames for each picture so that they look really cool and different. Excuse me.
No, they all have to match, Shelby. Get out of here.
They're not matching.
Random picture frames.
I also have Beck's art that is going in my Killy's room, which is now the bedroom. It was going to be the hallway, which we still got to fix the hallway. That whole rack system needs to be changed in there, but that's the last on the list.
And speaking of artists in the fish world, we got to have dinner with Chuck Davis, who doesn't take the hours and the paintings and stuff like that Sam does. He likes to brag that he spends 20 minutes on his paintings and stuff like that. We definitely saw one of Vadim's that took him longer than 20 minutes to paint. If he painted that in 20 minutes, hands down, Chuck, spend 2 hours in one, and let's see how that looks. I'm sure that would be incredible. But I heard a story from Chuck where he used to work in a warehouse in New York, and he ordered a lizard from Tom Crutchfield. And he says, I go to pry open the box, and he says, I didn't have to pry it open. The thing just opened the container, and out it came. And Chuck said he had to climb on top of a pallet to get away from it, and then he had to call the zoo come get it. And then he's trying to give it away to the zoo for free, and the zoo's like, no, we don't have anywhere for this. So, and he's like, yeah, I found somebody else that ended up taking it, and he's like, I think I lost some money on it, but I just wanted it out of my hands. I had no idea. And the funny thing is he saw the price list, and it was one was 3 foot and one was 5 foot. And he's like, and there's no price difference? All right, give me the 5-footer. So he's like, that was the biggest mistake ever, because he didn't realize how much more work and how harder it would be to get rid of a bigger lizard. He thought bigger the better,
Yeah. Not always. Not in the case of very whippy iguanas. Especially if you were to get any monitors, iguanas, things like that. They have whippy tails regardless. And they it was so funny. We saw one of the iguanas at the Crutchfields, and it's chill. It just don't want to be pet. And it's you get a little close, and it just kind of lifts that tail, and I'm like, oh, that thing would hurt if it hits you. So Ashley asked, if I go collecting in the Everglades and want to take something home, does anyone have tips to keep everyone happy for a trip back to North Carolina for even a couple nights? Absolutely need a bubbler, and you have to keep it cool. So it's so hot down here that you could bake those fish out just in a bucket with a bubbler within 30 minutes if you don't keep that cool. So shade I mean, keep half the bucket in the water will help keep it cool, and things like that. But make sure you have aeration the entire time. Do some water changes on the bucket to keep it fresh and clean, as much as you can, honestly, and it will keep them. That also adds more oxygen into the water. They're so stressed out, and you also got to think of the pheromones and things that they're releasing because they're stressed that you're taking them from their home, and they're gonna definitely get a lot of stress. So just do the best you can.
And another cool little thing is get like a container contraption that water can still flow through and get oxygen in. That you can put things that might have claws that would go after the fish, or aggressive fish that would go after the smaller ones and stuff like that. So, we had a Machiobrachium get out with the big claws, and he ended up getting one of the fish. So, you definitely got to try and keep them separated the best you can. But at the same time, bubblers and stuff like that, and space is few and far between. So make like a little critter hotel inside the bucket. You got a good thing going on.
I am so jealous. Jeff said picked up to a beta rubra. I'm so jealous. Those are so cool looking. I just love them so much. The wild betas. I don't understand. Like, so many people have the ones that are in the store, and I just get so bored of those. I don't find any beauty in some of them. To see them all the time, but the wild betas, they're just naturally beautiful. So it's just kind of when someone puts a ton of makeup on, it's like, you look pretty, but it's too much. You probably look better. I've seen so many people that just look really gorgeous without makeup, and you're like, that's better. Like, I don't. You should not wear makeup. You look so much better. And that's how I feel about the fish. The beta fish are like clown makeup at the store. That's what it looks like. Some of them are really cool still, though.
Don't say that about shrimp, okay?
Some of them are ugly. I really don't like fancy red tigers. And it's that is an unpopular opinion, but your whole thing about fancy, I think those things are ugly. I don't know why, but I would choose the Sulawesi Galaxy over them all day.
Of course, you pick the nicest wild type shrimp, though. I mean, duh. Come on, it's not fair. Vibes. We've got the cup. Gotta show the cup.
Oh yeah.
The Vibes cup tonight.
Oh, look at that.
We need a cup with your new logo on it too.
Oh yeah. Gotta get that in. Gotta start all over. So hi, this is okay. Oh man, it's all over here.
I think it's a bad storm. We got bad internet in our area tonight.
Yeah, I wish they had. I was thinking of that. When I was coming back, I'm like, it gets pricey everywhere you go, and it's some areas, and it's just why can't they just buy an annual angler's pass for all year round for all the states? But it's probably $500 to me would seem reasonable. I know that sounds crazy, but $500 if you travel a lot, and if you don't travel as much, it wouldn't be worth it. But
I think because every state needs to be paid fairly, and then
but
Arizona,
I'm saying $10 for each state. $50. $500. It'd be $10 for each state. That's enough. That's all I need. That's
more than all the day passes, though, probably.
Yeah, that's true. It's in Cincinnati next year. Where is that?
Spacing.
I thought you said in space. I'm like, what?
I don't want to say Connecticut, but that's what comes to my mind when I hear Cincinnati.
Ohio? Cincinnati.
Maybe.
Oh, we're terrible. So the female betas and the wild ones, they are actually, so a lot of people do this wrong with the wild betas because they are mouth brooders. The males carry. So if you put too many females, you're going to have them killing the males. You want more males to female ratio in that one. That's where a lot of people go wrong and not realize it, is that they need more male to female, which is the opposite than anything else.
Yeah, it's in Ohio.
Don't forget to give the fishies a bath. Nathan says y'all should get into the Moina culture. I love to feed it to my fish and all of it as well. Yeah,
You got some.
yeah. I'm super excited. I was telling Richard about how like I want to do live foods and then be able to sell them at the shows too, and that seems like a perfect fit too.
Did you take any of the worm cultures?
I forgot.
Oh man.
I am struggling to be awake right now. So okay, I am struggling. What's up, Scuba Steve?
Yeah, I really had to walk through Richard's house twice just to make sure I saw everything.
I know. I kept looking at everything. It's just amazing.
All right, an hour 45 in. Let's draw this and then try and catch up in chat, and then we'll probably call it a night.
Okay, I gotta refresh the tool. Hashtag Sam Scales. Get it in there if you haven't already.
Last chance.
Literally last chance. All right. This is so cringy tonight. How bad I am. Here we go.
By the end of the week, we'll have a video ready for all of you guys. We'll show you that this trip didn't slow us down.
And where is it? Where is
38 entries. Every time.
I don't know. Living Dream Aquatics, congratulations. Make sure to email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com and give us your name and address, and we will ship that out to you. We're sending out all the packages tomorrow, so congratulations.
Is it just me, or did that stop like earlier than usual?
I think it stopped a little bit earlier than usual.
Either way, congratulations. I was just like, well, an inconsistency. I was just getting into the music. I was just about to say, is it different music every single time? And it's like, boom, done. But congratulations. Are they in chat?
They should. Yes.
Yes. All right.
And I'm about to place an order, so we could throw it in with that if you want us to hold it and wait for that.
And I still don't have an answer from Sam on what kind of shrimp this is, but I will inform you before
I hope I'm right.
we ship it out.
Vibes Aquatic coming in with $1.99 super chat says, love y'all so much. Great stream. Thank you so much, Vibes.
We appreciate it, Vibes. Looking forward to seeing you hopefully in Aquashella if you're able to make it. Or Keystone Clash, one of the two, right? I feel like everything's going to start coming up so fast now because we already got, like, we should already start making plans for the Missouri trip.
I know. This is so much. I'm so tired. Let's not discuss anything.
Oh, by the way, just throwing it out there. Anybody want to do stuff in Missouri? Just message me. I'm all for it. Lady Diane is already offered. We're going to go see the zoo and everything we possibly can. Whoever's local wants to show us around town, those are always the best experiences.
Yeah. Cora said, Grant, have you ever tried breeding colored lines of giant freshwater prawns or Macrobranchium rosenbergi?
So we do have the Macrobranchiums that we caught at while collecting. Will you go? No, never mind. The bag is going to be wet. It's going to be no, not during the live stream. Sorry, I'll be better prepared for next time. But they are more than likely a two-stage shrimp where the larva goes out to the ocean. They're for sure a two-stage shrimp, but one where the larva goes out to the ocean, they feed on plankton and stuff like that as filter feeders. Then they morph into not full grown, but like the next stage, and they are basically miniature versions of the adults, and then they make their way back up the freshwater waterways. But I don't think I can replicate that very well in our tanks inside. There does appear to be two different types of the Macrobranchium where we were collecting. Can't tell if one of them stays this big or if those are just smaller versions of the adults. They got so much color to them.
Yeah, different color variations. Yeah, there's one that's really dark, but it also could be a male with the dark claws. But then I see another one with claws, and it's like more of a clear, translucent with a really bright red tail. Like, it is so cool.
And we're also catching like some of the largest ghost shrimp ever that I just couldn't believe.
And then Craig said, I found breeding betas is a lot of work. I would say that even though it was a lot of work, it's very rewarding to breed anything. So it's always nice to just try to breed a certain species and fish and then kind of like just move on to the next project. Betas are kind of hard to get rid of. That's the only problem. And Big Shrimpin says, I'm with you on the wild beta kick. There's so many cool ones with macrostoma at the top of the list, for sure. Like they're so big. I can't believe how big they get. They look like a little monster. Like they look like you took a big game fish and like shrunk it, but like it's still huge. And it's like comes along with the blue galaras, which I really am finding to be one of my favorite Achilles fish.
They remind me of mini
Sounds typical.
snakeheads.
Mm-hmm. They're really beautiful.
Yeah.
And then Nathan said, what was your favorite fish, etc. at Richard's place?
The angels really blew me away. So that's like the first thing that comes to my mind. He had some really nice green angels, and then he had crossbred some with some other ones. I'm sorry, I don't know all the angel morphs, but like the fins and the size of his angels were, I think, some of the best I've ever seen. I don't think I've seen nicer angels.
Yeah, well, they were really beautiful, but I am a big fan of the pseudomagills. They caught my attention. I just absolutely love. I have my own pseudomagills. You calm
To
down
me,
over here.
pseudomagills kind of all look the same. If you've seen pseudomagills at Imperial Tropics, you know what I mean?
Different. One's got beautiful finnage. The one he has that blue. These don't have blue eyes. These have blue eyes. They're
just
incredible.
saying,
And the babies are so cute.
You could tell the amount of love and effort that Richard put into those angels. That they just look really nice.
They were breeding
the
while we were there.
The one cichlid that I can't pronounce was actually in breeding dress and looked really, really nice. And then, like Shelby said, it's not going to come on camera. Never mind. I lied.
That was terrible.
I'm sorry. The Epistos were nice. He had some nice black German rams.
I forgot about those. They're incredible.
But I'd say the angels were at the top of my list.
Yeah. Vibes the 99 super sticker. Thank you so much.
But his water change system, the way he framed in his garage and everything, all around, just how well and how nice the entire fish room was. I've been to quite a few fish rooms, and that one was at the top of my list of favorites.
Coro said that Rosenberg can be bought from aquaculture companies and primarily bred for fresh size and food. Those are the ones I probably killed when you got those problems the first time. That's probably the ones I accidentally killed.
Yeah, more than likely. I had gotten some, I would say like 8 years now. And yeah, Shelby forgot to put some prime in the water change.
Coral, we always take precaution. So these get wrapped in a box and a bag before it even goes in to make sure that it does, one, not get bent or get leaked on. So it would be no problem to ship the pitcher with it. Now, if they had too much in their box, then yeah, we ship them separately.
We also normally put it in a Ziploc bag.
What?
The pitcher in a Ziploc bag so it doesn't get ruined? Yeah? Nay?
No, I put it in the bubble mailer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I put the box, just like I would ship it out without the box. So it doesn't get crunched or anything.
Yeah, we've been doing it for quite some time, and so far no water damage.
See, the beta, the ones I have, nickname is Snakehead Beta. I know that one. All right. We need to get off because I'm just overly exhausted.
That's fine. We can call it 7 minutes early on one of the streams. We'll take the 7 minutes from one of the past streams and then just slap it onto this one. So the average is still 2 hours. Good. I don't think anybody's gonna mind. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Jay, Nana the Aquarium guy. You guys for your hospitality.
Aquatics.
Oh yeah, well, Garcia for buying that guppy grass and raising the other bidders' prices. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, my man. and just your appearance giving me that boost of energy that I needed throughout the little expo, my talk. So yeah, I could use that tonight. You want to just open the door right now, and then we'll go for the last 10 minutes that we usually do. That's what we need.
And everybody, if you're still awake, unlike us who are about to pass out, George is about to go on next. So just hop over there if you're still interested in watching something tonight. Thank you, everyone who donated, all the super chats. Thank you for coming and watching us. We really appreciate it. And all the great questions.
Give me 1 second.
This is 1 second too long.
No. It's actually something that's going to be good. So somebody drop in George's link.
You know how to do that?
And if George can't do it, guess what, George? You're a monitor, so you can do it yourself if you would like to. So, everybody head on. Yeah, I did it.
Thank you, Nano.
So thank you for the
great talk this weekend. $2 super chat.
Oh, well, thank you for the ice creams and the treats. Honestly, I ate all the ice creams back at the hotel because those would have melted on the way home. Saved the candies right before the live stream, so those probably carried me through until about 10 minutes ago when I depleted all of the sugar in my system and crashing down. So thank you guys. Thank you, everybody. You guys need anything, message us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Have a good night.